Well, where do I begin? Beast Wars was the Transformers series that I grew up on. Or, to be more accurate, I actually grew up on Beasties, since apparently the word wars is too violent for Canadian children. Although how Star Wars gets away with it, who knows. When Beast Wars came out, the Transformers brand was essentially dead. This was the last-ditch attempt to save the franchise. Thus why in the logo, it's not Transformers Beast Wars, it's Beast Wars Transformers, with the Transformers part being the subtitle, not the main brand. But luckily, thanks to great writing, amazing voice acting, and cutting-edge CGI, at least for the time, the show became a huge hit. Ask any 90s kid, and they probably remember Beast Wars. I know I used to watch it here on YTV in Canada, in its evening block sandwiched between Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball Z as we pronounce it here in Canada, and Reboot, another incredible CGI cartoon also produced by the same animation company as Beast Wars. It was a truly great show, not just for Transformers, but for cartoons in general. Although it was very influential in the Transformers brand, and many concepts pioneered in Beast Wars are still being reused today. And now that the Maximals and Predacons are set to make their return in the upcoming final chapter of the Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy, Kingdom, I thought it was about time to take a look back at where it all started, and kick off yet another review series on this channel. Hopefully I don't regret it. So let's get started with the series 2-part opener, appropriately titled Beast Wars! We begin in space, where a transwarp portal opens and two ships in the midst of battle fly through. The Maximals ship, the Axelon, and the Predacon ship, the Dark Side. Spelled as one word and with a Y instead of an I. That way it's different from the Star Wars Dark Side and Hasbro can't get sued.
Hull breach in Sector 7! Guidance systems failing!
Sector 7? Like the secret human organization in the live-action movies? We're about a decade too early for that, aren't we?
Launch all pods! Get them into safe orbit!
There's a lot of stasis pods ejected from the Axelon here. More than we actually see recovered in the show. This would play into the comic book miniseries Beast Wars The Gathering and Beast Wars The Ascending, which would retcon the series a little bit and show what happened to all the other stasis pods, as well as give a little bit of story to some of the many characters in the toy line that did not appear in the show. So, much like in the original G1 cartoon, both ships end up crashing on the planet. Although this time the good guys stay in their ship and the bad guys stay in their own. Both factions deciding to scan beast modes based on the local lifeforms. The idea being that the organic beast modes will shield them from the high levels of energon radiation. This idea would be later used again in the IDW comic book Maximum Dinobots, where the G1 Dinobots also took on organic beast modes.
The transwarp drive can go through space and time. We were locked onto Megatron's warp signature. We could be any place, anytime.
How convenient, Rhinox. This certainly isn't setting up for a big reveal later on. Meanwhile, at the Predacon ship...
No! It's all wrong. This cannot be Earth.
Spoilers, Dinobot! As a note, Dinobot is one of my favorite Transformers ever. And he is the first beastie we see actually transform in this show. While I do love Beast Wars Megatron, and I wouldn't change anything about him as his design is now iconic, I do wonder why Hasbro, or actually Kenner at the time, made him a purple and green dinosaur. You know, like a certain other purple and green dino that was popular back in the 90s. So the Maximals and Predacons soon find themselves in combat, where they all call out their name and transformation code, either Maximize for the Maximals, or Terrorize for the Predacons. Somehow, I don't think shouting Terrorize would fly these days. But I like how you can tell how each character transforms in this show. Sure, they still cheat a little bit, or in some cases a lot, but I really like how they transform like their toys. After some time in their robot modes, however, they begin to short out due to energon exposure and must disengage. This energon radiation is a problem that they'd have to deal with throughout the first season, limiting their time in robot mode to only a few minutes. And so, as the Maximals are returning to their base, they are confronted by Dinobot, who challenges Optimus Primal to a one-on-one battle for leadership. Which is where we transition to part 2 of this series opener, with Dinobot and Optimus facing off.
Don't we get a say in this?
Let Chopperface and the Boss Monkey duke it. No fur off of my tail.
Wait, you're a rat. Your tail doesn't have fur on it. Or at least not to the same degree as the rest of your body does. Although, I guess this is kind of a play on that old expression, no skin off my teeth.
I didn't know human teeth had skin.
So Optimus and Dinobot do battle, where Dinobot demonstrates his honor by not letting Optimus fall due to slipping.
You slipped. To defeat you in such a manner would be lacking in honor. I prefer to beat my opponents the old-fashioned way. Brutally!
For a Predacon, Dinobot, you have qualities I could like.
And you have proved to be a worthy adversary. I will have you recycled with full honors.
Well, that's just prime!
But the Predacons happen upon their fight and decide to interfere. However, the Maximals manage to escape, falling to their doom. But their fighting has exposed a huge energon deposit, which both sides now race towards.
Then we have to get there first. All 5 of us.
Yeah, all 5 of us. You mean Chopperface is going with? We're all gonna die.
On their way to the crystal, they come across a Stonehenge-like structure. I say Stonehenge-like because it's not exactly like the real Stonehenge, and we know that Stonehenge was built by humans, not aliens or something. Unless, of course, you believe in conspiracy theories, but we'll revisit this site in a future episode. So both groups happen to reach the energon at the same time, and they face off in an all-out beast battle. It's worth noting that the choice to make Optimus Primal a gorilla and Megatron a T-Rex was actually inspired by the movie King Kong, where the giant gorilla does fight a T-Rex. Although that wasn't their original beast modes, as they were originally envisioned as a bat and a crocodile. More on that in a moment. So as the two sides fight, Megatron fires a missile at Optimus, which Dinobot deflects, hitting the energon and causing it to explode. And we finished this episode with Optimus Primal giving us the name of the show.
So for now, let the battle be here, on this strange primitive world, and let it be called Beast Wars!
I guess it would have been weird if he said, and let it be called Beasties, eh? This was a great start to this series, and it set up the show incredibly well. Not only that, but we also got some juicy little bits of lore.
Remember the Great War, Rat Trap. If the Predacons get enough energon, they'll start it again. We don't have to do this, Megatron. There has been peace between the Maximals and Predacons for centuries.
Peace, perhaps on your side, Maximal scum. Yes, but not on ours.
It's very interesting how they talk about their history in this episode. It's just too bad that this isn't elaborated on very much throughout the show. I would have liked to learn more about the events between G1 and Beast Wars. And like I mentioned before, Optimus and Megatron weren't originally a gorilla and a T-Rex. Their first toys were actually a bat and a crocodile, but the team behind the cartoon decided to go with their Ultra-class toys instead. And that's not the only huge decision that they made either, as the Maximals and Predacons weren't originally meant to be distant descendants of the Autobots and Decepticons at all. They were initially meant to be the same Generation 1 characters from the 80s, but in new forms. Optimus Primal was supposed to be Optimus Prime, and Megatron was supposed to be the same character as his G1 namesake. It was the writers of the show who decided to distance themselves from the original cartoon by making these entirely new characters, with only vague hints towards the previous series at first. And honestly, I think it was a wise decision. the Beast Wars cast would prove to be some of the deepest and best characters the franchise has ever seen, which I don't think they could have achieved had they been forced to kowtow to the past. Again, Beast Wars, despite it looking pretty dated by today's standards, was an amazing and highly influential show. I love it. It's what got me into Transformers as a kid, and I can't wait to talk more about it. But that'll have to wait until next week. For now, let me know what you thought of these first 2 episodes of Beast Wars. Remember to like, share, and do all that other fun stuff, and I'll see you back here next time for the next episode, The Web.
Ooh, are we gonna surf the web?
So I'll see you here next week for that.